everyone, from Dunrovin Ranch in Lola, Montana. I was hopeful of having our wonderful friend Hobie Hare here to celebrate the winter solstice, but unfortunately he had a last-minute family issue that he had to attend to and was unable to drive out. He will come in January to help us celebrate winter, but it is such a gorgeous day that I felt I would just get on and tell you how much I love winter and the wonderful things that it has brought to me over my lifetime. Anybody who knows me knows that winter has always been one of my very favorite seasons. I think in part because we lived in Alaska for a very long time. And if you didn't like winter, you were going to be a sad soul the whole year because winters were long and hard. But in Alaska, they had a really good saying that said, "No such thing as bad weather, just bad clothes." So everybody geared up for it. And if you gear up for it, you can really enjoy winters even when it's really, really cold. And thinking about celebrating winter, I made a mental list of some of the things that I think are so unique to winter and that really bring me a great deal of joy. I grew up in Butte, Montana, which was known for its cold temperatures and its really frosty conditions. And everybody knows that under certain temperatures, the snow will kind of creak. It squeaks when you walk on it. It's a sound unto itself, and it's something that everybody loves if they're around that kind of really deep cold. We'll get that probably on Wednesday. So when you walk along snow-packed snow when it's that cold, it just squeaks. It's really a wonderful sound. And one of the things that I love most about winter is, during a storm, the whole world seems chaotic. You've got the wind in the trees and you've got snow blowing in every different direction, and it seems harsh and it's hard to find the beauty in some of that. But then the next day you wake up and here is this complete blanket of diamonds just glowing in the sun. A snow-covered field without any tracks is just something marvelous. And when the sun is just at the right angle, and of course in the winter the sun is at a lower angle, so you get these gorgeous alpenglows and these beautiful kind of shining diamonds that look like they've just been spread out, fairy dust all over the fields, these beautiful white canvases that are just glittering. It's just so unique. And even in windy country, where the wind will pile up the snow, it looks like waves, like somebody just created these beautiful white waves, an ocean of snow. It's gorgeous. And, we talked a little bit with Brandon this morning, who is east of us, where winters can really be fierce, particularly because of the wind. But I know for sure that there are moments when he is out there taking care of his cattle, even under really difficult conditions, and has to stop and just appreciate the beauty, the stark beauty that winter provides. It's a palette like none other. I think the other wonderful thing about winter is it is hard, and that the challenge of winter really brings these beautiful feelings of conquering them, of enduring them. If life were always easy, you wouldn't appreciate things in the same way that you do. Having the darkness and the challenge of doing things under difficult conditions makes you far more appreciative when those conditions are not there. So in some ways, winter hardens you and shows you how life can be more difficult. And so when you are out of winter, when you're in the spring and in the summer, you appreciate it even more deeply because of winter. I've only lived a few years of my life in an area that did not have winter, and I missed it. And in part, I missed it for that reason. Winter seems to provoke a thoughtful time. It's a time that asks you to slow down. It's like the hibernating animals. You have to slow yourself down to endure it. And that opens up the opportunity for really contemplating lots of different aspects of life. So part of what I'd like to do is read this poem, and I have to change off my glasses. I've got sunglasses on, but to read the poem, I have to put on my reading glasses, so bear with me. I know that some of you are in the same position that I am. But this wonderful poem by Mary Oliver really reflects just what I talked about, the storm, that at the end of the storm, there's this golden, actually silvery diamond field of snow that only comes in winter. Let me find my poem, get myself set up here. I apologize. By the way, I'm wearing my purple hat. And a decade ago, when we started Dunrovin, people would ask me, which one is you? They'd see people wandering around the ranch. And I'd say, well, I'm the one with the purple winter hat. This is the same hat. So this is the hat that people got to know me with. So let me find my poem here. This is called White Eyes, and it's by Mary Oliver. I just love this poem. In winter, all the singing is in the tops of the trees, where the windbird, with its white eyes, shoves and pushes among the branches. Like any of us, he wants to go to sleep, but he is restless. He has an idea, and slowly it unfolds. From under his beating wings, as long as he stays awake, but his big round music, after all, is too breathy to last. It's over. In the pine crown, he makes his nest. He's done all he can. I don't know the name of this bird. I only imagine his glittering beak tucked in a white wing, while the clouds which he has summoned from the north, which he has taught to be mild and silent, thicken and begin to fall into the world below like stars, or the feathers of some unimaginable bird that loves us, that is asleep now and silent, that has turned itself into snow. And just like there's no wind like the howling winds of winter, there's no quiet like the quiet forest in winter, where the snow absorbs so much of the sound. There's a deep quietness about a winter forest that is just so calming and beautiful all on its very own. So one of the things I thought I might do today, and I'll go back and get on chat after I'm finished here, but I thought I might tell you a couple of Alaska winter stories. Alaska, we're full of winter stories because we're full of adventures in Alaska. But I wanted to tell you about one that was, I don't remember the year, but it was before I had children, so it had to have been before 1987. My husband and I had organized a group of people in Anchorage to drive to a place called Chena Hot Springs, which is north of Fairbanks. So it was about 400 miles away, and you had to go through the Alaska Range. There was a pass that you had to go over to the Alaska Range. And the days in Alaska are very short in the winter. So our friends gathered about 2:30 or 3 in the morning to get an early start so we could get there before the end of the day. And we all rode in our truck. And I remember it was a complete blizzard when we left driving. I mean, it's the kind of thing I would never do now. But, we were young and thought we could do anything. And indeed, we made it. But there were times that it was kind of scary. There were semis on this very, 2-lane highway going up through the mountains in Alaska. And it was just a wide out for the first part of the trip, but it was also extremely cold. And when I say cold, I mean 50 below cold, and that was without a windshield. We got, with a wind chill. So we got to this little town called Nanana, where long ago, the miners of Nenana started a contest where they put a tripod on the frozen river with a clock. And once the ice moved, it tripped the clock, and they would take bets. It's called the Nenana Ice Classic. And it's the perfect place for it because it's very low, and it's where the temperatures get really extreme. Like I said, minus 50. So we pulled into Nenana looking for hot coffee, and we had 4 dogs in the back of our truck. And I'll just never forget, we had blankets and dog beds in the back to keep them warm. And they jumped out of the back of the truck onto the snow, and it was so cold, they tried to keep their feet off of the snow. So they would go around picking up as many feet as they could. It was just sort of pathetic to watch them not want to be on the snow. It was that cold. So we left Nenana and went to Fairbanks, and then we cut a little tree on our way up to Chena Hot Springs, and we had rented a cabin. The cabin was not heated. You had to heat it with wood-burning stove. So the first couple hours we were out there chopping up wood to heat our cabin. It was one of those magical winters that, you know, because it was so cold and we were all working together, it just created this wonderful experience that all of us remembered together, and we worked together to heat this cabin. One of our friends had 2 young teenage daughters, and, you know, they were getting right into the whole thing, and we brought our cross-country skis, which was a little bit crazy to think you were going to be skiing when it was 50 below, but it warmed up over the next few days to minus 20 and minus 25. And believe me, when you've been in minus 50, minus 20, you can feel the difference. So we went skiing at minus 20, and we had this fabulous time. There was this great swimming pool and this hot water coming up from the intake and the outtake to this indoor swimming pool. And it covered all of the trees with this really thick hoarfrost. And one of my memories of this is when we went out to get a picture of us all together. We were wearing what's called bunny boots. We had swimsuits on and bunny boots. Bunny boots are these big round boots that were created for the military, and they are insulated with air, so you're really walking on a cushion of air, so they look huge. And so here we were, all in our swimsuits and these bunny boots, standing under these crystal-like trees with somebody taking a photo. And my husband, my playful husband, shook the trees so that the hoarfrost fell on our backs and our swimming suits, and it was like knives going through your back. It was so cold. Of course, everybody screamed and ran and got back into the water. But it was just one of those wonderful memories of a time together. And again, those adverse conditions made it all the more beautiful for us in so many ways. I might also say that northern lights, the aurora borealis, are more common in winter than they are in summer, in part because in the northern latitudes, you can't see them because there's a lot of sunlight all day. But in the nighttime, in the wintertime, you can see them in the middle of the day practically. And on that particular trip, they just danced everywhere. So every night we had this great, beautiful display of aurora borealis, which were green and red, and these big ribbons just running through the sky. It was just a magical trip that I will never forget. I also wanted to say that many times right in Anchorage, I would go cross-country skiing at night under a full moon. And there's nothing like a snow-covered area under a full moon because the snow reflects everything. I mean, it's like being out in the middle of the day. The moon and the snow just create this fabulous background. And it illuminates everything, and yet it also casts these really long shadows. It's unlike daylight, but you still are able to use it to maneuver and to go skiing. So winter is just a fabulous time of the year. I also wanted to say something about what's coming up here. It's going to get really cold, and I wanted to thank Nicole and Matt and Shannon for stepping up and taking care of our horses during this really cold time. We're going to move them all into the south pasture, and partly because cold air sinks, and the temperatures down by the river can be 5 to 10 degrees colder than even up here on the flat. And so we're going to bring the horses into the south pasture, and you'll see that they leave a lot of hay for them. The best way to keep a horse warm is to allow it unrestricted access to food. The horse's digestive system creates a lot of inner heat, and the horses heat from the inside out. So as long as they have a lot of food, they will be just fine. I do worry about some of the wildlife under this coming cold snap, particularly our little friends, the kingfishers. You know, until recently, kingfishers did not winter in Montana because of the harsh winter weather. But I think with global climate change, some of these birds have been wintering in areas that they did not winter before. But this will be a very rude awakening to any of the birds like that. I fear that they will not survive this really deep, deep cold, and it breaks my heart. But here at our bench bird feeders, etc., Nicole and Matt and Shannon will keep those full so that the birds that have come accustomed to finding food there will find food. And as all of you have been watching, Mr. Fox has set up a shop over there to catch squirrels at the bird feeder. And, you know, I know it's hard to see a fox catch a squirrel, but if you love the fox, you want them to survive as well, and that's how they survive. So, they are probably going to be digging a den soon. This is the time of year that they breed, the red foxes. So, what a beautiful day. It's hard to think that tomorrow at this time it's likely to be much, much colder. And we're bracing ourselves for it, but it's a natural part of winter. And those cold temperatures just make us all that much more appreciative of when they go away. So welcome to winter, and I hope that you are enjoying your winter wherever you are, and it is as beautiful as what I believe this wonderful place is. I love looking at the mountains all covered in snow. For one thing, that means summer moisture, summer water, which is so important for our ospreys and the fish and for all of life. Thank you for joining me, and I'm sorry that Hobie wasn't able to come today, but we'll see him in early January. He'll come out and say hello and help us celebrate winter. Thank you all, and a big thank you to Nicole for making this happen and for all the wonderful work that she does here at Dunrovin. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Bye.